If I offered you like a daily pill that could just slash your risk of cardiovascular disease and do
Mhm.
it as effectively as a modern statin, you'd probably take it, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, who wouldn't?
Right. But you definitely wouldn't expect that pill to be essentially a 19th century Welsh proverb disguised as a piece of fruit.
No, definitely not.
But the sources we're diving into today kind of reveal that something as mundane as, a simple bowl of mixed fruit is actually this masterclass in human development just hiding in plain sight.
Yeah, and the materials we're synthesizing today, they seem completely disconnected at first glance.
Oh,
I
totally.
mean, we're looking at basic A1 English language coursework, an ESL lesson plan designed for young children, a YouTube transcript where kids are making a fruit salad.
Which is adorable, by the way.
Right. And then suddenly a Wikipedia breakdown of the medical science behind a very famous apple-related proverb.
It's a wild mix. So our mission for this deep dive is to sort of explore why fruit serves as our foundational tool for understanding the physical world. Because it dictates how we categorize language, right?
Yeah.
And it acts as a gateway to the sensory science of eating,
Mm.
and as we'll see, holds the literal medical truth behind our oldest food-based folklore.
Exactly.
By the time we finish analyzing these sources, you, the listener, are never going to look at a simple fruit salad the same way again.
You really won't, because to understand our relationship with food, we have to start at the very beginning of cognitive development.
Right, how we first learn to communicate about the physical world.
Exactly. Categorizing objects is the earliest, probably the most crucial step in language acquisition. And the A1 beginner English courses in our sources, they place food, specifically fruit, at the very top of the curriculum.
And the rationale there is just purely survival, right?
Uh,
And, well, social integration.
yeah,
It's a
absolutely.
universal high-stakes topic, but it has a super low barrier to entry. I mean, whether you're navigating a grocery store in a foreign country or just trying to order a meal, you need this vocabulary to function.
You really do.
Mm.
And the course materials actually define fruit for language learners with these really specific biological parameters.
Oh, yeah, the exact definition.
Right. They define it as a sweet or sour fleshy product of a plant or tree that contains seeds.
Okay, so a sweet or sour fleshy product that contains seeds.
Exactly. And then the curriculum anchors that definition to these fundamental descriptive words. So beginners are taught, sweet,
Describes as a pleasant taste, like sugar or honey.
right, and sour, which is an acidic taste like a yellow lemon,
Mm.
and juicy, meaning full of delicious water and flavor.
But what's fascinating is that these aren't just like arbitrary vocabulary words.
No, not at all.
They're evolutionary signals.
Yeah.
I mean, the human brain is literally hardwired to seek out sweetness because in nature, it signals caloric density, it's energy.
Energy, exactly.
And we're sensitive to sourness because it can indicate either, essential vitamin C or on the flip side, dangerous spoilage,
Right, so the language courses are inadvertently teaching evolutionary biology.
which is wild. But we also see that educational strategy relying heavily on categorized learning.
Oh, heavily. The adults in these courses, they're instructed to group items into, like, fruits, vegetables, dairy, meats, grains, beverages.
Right, the idea being that creating these mental filing cabinets makes recalling the English words a lot faster.
That's the theory, yeah.
But I actually have to push back on that framework a bit based on our sources.
Oh, really? How so?
Well, does the human brain actually operate like a rigid filing cabinet? I mean, when I'm hungry, my brain doesn't search a dairy folder.
Sure.
It just, craves cheese based on some situational association.
Yeah, that associative model you're describing is actually far more accurate to how human memory works,
Right.
which is why the adult learning methods, like keeping a food diary or making flashcards,
Yeah.
they can sometimes feel really artificial and slow.
Yeah, exactly. It's too rigid.
Now, compare that to the ESL lesson plan for children in our sources. The kids don't use flashcards.
No, they play that game. Fruit fetch.
Yes. Fruit fetch, where they physically run across the room to grab a specific plastic fruit. Or fruit rope jump, where they jump over an obstacle to retrieve an apple.
See, that physicality completely changes the learning mechanism.
Completely. It employs this concept called embodied cognition.
Embodied cognition.
Right. Children learn by embedding information directly into their motor skills.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so when a child physically jumps and grabs a plastic apple, they are tying the linguistic label of apple to a dynamic physical action.
And spatial awareness, too.
Exactly. Spatial awareness of visual cue. They're building this dense neural network around the word.
Which anchors the vocabulary in a way that just like staring at a two-dimensional flashcard simply cannot replicate.
Not even close.
It's
No.
like they're building the periodic table of everyday life, but through movement.
That's a great way to put it.
But, even as we construct these linguistic tables, the language itself kind of reveals our biases.
Oh, for sure.
Because we teach these learners neat, simple categories, like distinguishing a fruit from a vegetable. But the way a language learner or a chef categorizes, say, a tomato is entirely different from how a botanist does.
Oh, the classic tomato debate.
Yeah.
Yeah, botanically, a tomato is a fruit.
Right, because it develops from the ovary of a flower and contains seeds.
Exactly. But the culinary and linguistic world treats it as a vegetable entirely because of its savory flavor profile.
And how we use it in meals.
Right. Our language is driven by human utility and cultural practice, not strict scientific taxonomy. We name things based on how we use them.
And that concept of utility actually provides the perfect bridge to the next stage of our dive.
Because once we have the vocabulary to categorize fruit,
The next logical step is experiencing it physically. We transition from abstract language into a tangible scientific process.
and the YouTube video for kids about making a fruit salad illustrates this so brilliantly.
It really does. Because it doesn't present cooking as a chore. It explicitly treats making a fruit salad as a, quote, science process.
Yet it instructs the children to classify ingredients just like scientists do.
I love that.
It uses a simple kitchen activity to teach the foundational scientific method of observation. Breaking down the fruit salad, using the 5 basic senses to catalog data.
And the sensory breakdown they do is incredibly thorough. I mean, first they analyze sight, right? Observing the vibrant contrasting colors.
The yellow pineapples, the green and red apples, the dark blue blueberries.
Right. And then they move to touch, which textures become wild when you actually stop to analyze them.
Oh, absolutely.
You have the rough, spiky skin of a pineapple, and then the fuzzy exterior of a kiwi and the smooth peel of a banana.
And the texture of a fruit is a vital biological proxy for its structural integrity.
Wait, what do you mean by that?
So when a child feels the firm, smooth skin of an apple versus, say, a wrinkled, soft one,
Mm-hmm.
they are conducting a subconscious tactile assessment of cellular degradation.
Oh, wow. They're literally feeling if the cells are dying.
Exactly. And then the video moves to smell, contrasting the distinct, heavy, sweet aroma of bananas with the light, fresh scent of kiwis.
Right. And then comes taste, of course. Contrasting sweet strawberries with tart kiwis. But, and this is my favorite part, the 5th sense, hearing.
Yes.
That is where the analysis becomes truly profound to me because we rarely think of our food as having an acoustic profile.
We really don't.
But the video specifically points out the sounds of food prep. The sound of peeling a banana or mixing the fruit in the bowl.
Because the auditory component of eating is actually a primary driver of how we perceive flavor and freshness.
Right. The crunch of an apple is essentially nature's original audio feedback loop.
It is. It's an evolutionary signal.
Like if you bite into an apple and it's silent or mushy, your brain instantly sends a warning signal that the food might be rotting.
Exactly. The acoustic snap of the crunch tells your brain the cellular structure is intact, this is safe, this is fresh.
And the physical mechanism behind that crunch is fascinating. It's called turgor pressure, right?
Turgor pressure, yeah. So the plant cells are full of water, and they're pushing tightly against their rigid cellular walls.
Okay.
And when your teeth break those walls, the sudden release of pressure creates that acoustic snap.
That's incredible. So this children's video is actively bringing this complex, subconscious evolutionary evaluation right to the surface.
It is.
Yeah.
And it even dives into plant anatomy, specifically seed variants, which turns the salad bowl into a literal lesson on reproductive biology.
And the anatomical variance they lay out in the video is staggering. I mean, bananas and kiwis have those tiny, almost imperceptible black seeds hidden inside the flesh.
Right.
Pineapples have no seeds at all inside the part we eat. Apples hold their seeds securely in a central core. And then you look at strawberries.
Oh, strawberries. They completely upend the standard botanical model we just established.
They really do. They possess around 200 tiny seeds, and they wear them entirely on the outside surface.
Yeah, and the mechanism behind that is a completely different evolutionary strategy for seed dispersal.
How so?
Well, a true fruit develops from the plant's ovary. But a strawberry is an aggregate accessory fruit.
An aggregate accessory fruit.
Right, so the red fleshy part we eat, that isn't the ovary, it's swollen receptacle tissue.
Wait, really?
Yeah, The actual botanical fruits of the strawberry are those tiny specks on the outside.
The things we call seeds.
Exactly. They're called acians. And each agene contains a single seed.
That is wild.
The evolutionary goal is to make the swollen tissue so visually appealing and sweet that animals just eat the whole thing and disperse the seeds across the environment.
Nature is so clever, and the ESL lesson plan actually capitalizes on all of this sensory and anatomical variance with a blind fruit tasting activity.
Right, where the teacher removes the dominant sense of sight.
Yeah, forcing the students to guess the fruit using only smell, touch, and taste.
And sensory deprivation is a powerful cognitive tool.
Because it forces the brain to compensate.
Exactly. By removing visual input, the brain is forced to allocate more processing power to the olfactory bulb and the gustatory cortex. So the students have to actively analyze the turgor pressure, the crunch we talked about, and the acidity levels to identify the object.
Which forces the brain to build much stronger, more resilient neural pathways for that vocabulary word.
Exactly.
It's all connected. And, the physical structure that creates that crucial acoustic crunch, those rigid cellular walls inside an apple, that is exactly what bridges us into the realm of public health.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that specific fruit has completely transcended basic A1 vocabulary to become the absolute cornerstone of medical folklore.
An apple a day keeps the doctor away.
The ultimate food proverb. And let's examine the science behind it, because it is not a modern marketing invention.
No, the Wikipedia sources trace the origins all the way back to an 1866 Pembrokeshire variant from Wales.
Right. The original proverb went, "Eat an apple on going to bed, and you'll keep the doctor from earning his bread."
Which is very catchy.
Hmm.
But putting that 19th century proverb under the microscope of modern nutritional science reveals some really unexpected truths.
It does, because looking at the USDA profile of a standard medium-sized raw apple, roughly 100 grams, it's 86% water and 14% carbohydrates.
And it supplies only about 52 calories.
Which, on paper, doesn't really look like the profile of a miraculous superfood,
No, it actually contains very low levels of vitamins and essential micronutrients.
Right, so where's the magic?
Its true power lies in its structural integrity. Those cellular walls that provide the crunch we were just talking about.
Yeah.
They're made of pectin, which is a highly effective form of soluble dietary fiber.
And this is where the 2013 study published in the British Medical Journal comes in, the BMJ.
Right.
They used computer modeling to test the cardiovascular impact of that exact fiber, and the results completely validate the Welsh folklore.
It's amazing. The researchers constructed a model to compare the daily consumption of an apple with the daily use of a statin.
And statins are those ubiquitous cholesterol-lowering drugs, right?
Yes, exactly. Prescribed to reduce the risk of cardiovascular diseases. The researchers wanted to see how a simple dietary intervention stacked up against a cornerstone pharmaceutical.
And what did the model show?
The computer model estimated that for people over the age of 50, eating one apple a day is generally comparable to using a statin drug to reduce low-density lipoprotein or LDL cholesterol.
Comparable to a statin. That's huge. And the mechanism behind this is entirely mechanical, isn't it?
It is. So soluble fiber like pectin forms this gel-like substance in your digestive tract.
Okay.
This gel acts like a sponge, physically binding to bile acids in your gut.
And bile acids contain high levels of cholesterol.
Exactly. So the fiber traps the cholesterol and sweeps it out of your body as waste.
Wow.
And to replace the lost bile acids, your liver has to pull existing cholesterol out of your bloodstream.
Which directly lowers your circulating LDL levels.
Precisely.
So the BMJ study essentially concludes that a daily apple matches the efficacy of modern medicine, likely has far fewer side effects, and costs roughly the same annually.
Yeah, that's their conclusion.
Which raises a highly provocative real-world question. I mean, if a major 2013 medical study shows that apples are literally as effective as statin drugs for reducing cardiovascular risk in the over 50 demographic, why don't cardiologists write prescriptions for the produce aisle alongside pharmaceutical interventions?
Well, the barrier there is mostly behavioral psychology and healthcare economics.
Makes sense.
Behavioral interventions like telling a patient they must consume a specific amount of fibrous fruit every single day without fail are notoriously difficult to enforce.
Right. People forget, or they just don't want to do it.
Exactly. A tiny swallowable pill demands far less lifestyle friction from the patient.
Sure.
Furthermore, well, not furthermore, but the modern medical infrastructure is just built entirely around pharmaceutical pathways. From insurance coding to clinical trials, it's not built for agricultural interventions.
That's a really good point. And we also have to look at the confounding variables in the real-world data,
We
right?
do.
Because our sources include a 2015 study from JAMA Internal Medicine that looked at actual patient records to see if apple eaters literally kept the doctor away.
Right. And the real-world application proved a bit more nuanced than the computer model.
As it always does.
Yeah. In their initial crude analysis, the researchers did find that apple eaters were more likely to avoid doctor visits.
Okay, so a win for the apple.
Initially.
Yeah.
However, they then applied statistical adjustments for sociodemographic and health-related characteristics.
Meaning they factored in things like income levels, education, and overall lifestyle choices.
Precisely. And once they controlled for those variables, the direct reduction in doctor visits lost its statistical significance.
Because the hidden variable is that wealthy people who have the time to exercise and the income to afford comprehensive health care also happen to be the people buying and eating fresh apples.
Exactly. The apple becomes a marker of a privileged lifestyle, not just a medical intervention.
That makes total sense.
The sociological factors certainly muddy the waters. Yet, even after adjusting for income and education, the JAMA study still found something interesting.
What was that?
They found that people who ate an apple a day used fewer prescription medications overall.
Oh, wow. So there is still a measurable effect.
Yes. The physiological mechanism of the pectin lowering the LDL cholesterol remains constant, regardless of the patient's tax bracket.
So the core truth of the 19th century proverb still holds structural weight.
It really does.
Man, the journey we've taken through these sources today is genuinely remarkable.
It's been a ride.
I mean, we started with the absolute fundamentals of human communication, right? Looking at A1 English vocabulary and how we map sensory words to evolutionary survival traits.
Yeah.
We unpacked the embodied cognition and tactile science of a kid's fruit salad, explored the biological turgor pressure of a crunch, and the wild evolutionary dispersal strategies of exterior seeds.
The strawberryaceans.
Exactly. And finally, we arrived at 19th century Welsh folklore, validating the cardiovascular power of plant cell walls through modern computer modeling.
And I think the through line here is just the profound utility of the natural world. The basic vocabulary we teach our children is inextricably linked to the sensory evolution of our species, which in turn dictates the physiological mechanisms of our long-term health.
It's a perfect loop. So, to you listening right now, the next time you reach for a healthy snack to satisfy a craving for something sweet, just take a moment to analyze the complexity of what you're holding.
Definitely.
Whether you're observing the complex evolutionary design of the 200 achenes on the surface of a strawberry, or the pharmaceutical-level lipid-lowering power of a crunchy apple, you are engaging in a massive global scientific and linguistic tradition.
A seemingly simple piece of produce contains just an extraordinary density of human history and biological engineering.
It really does, and I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over today.
Okay, let's hear it.
If an apple a day can legitimately rival a modern cardiovascular drug in a computer model simply through the mechanical action of its fiber, what other ancient, culturally ingrained food proverbs are sitting in our history books just waiting for a rigorous statistical model to prove them right?